and it will consume your entire attention. The person you were with, the behavior and attributes triggered a karmic response from your mortal selves. It is in response to the traumatic experiences you had with this person, or not with this person, but the behavior and attributes this person represents. The masters had said that we came with good intentions to Earth, to help the inhabitants escape their own suffering. But when we came to Earth, we were traumatized by the very people we came to help, and we were traumatized by the conditions we came to change. After we experienced our birth trauma, subsequent interactions with these people, your birth trauma caused you to react to your partner. Our representative of the psychology, your partner, had taken up, then built up more and more of the attachments to this person, thus causing more and more of the reactionary pattern you are having today. But your reactions to the partner is still based on a number of unresolved psychologies that you had taken on after you received your birth trauma. So unless you can see the unresolved psychologies for what they are, you will not be able to let go of the selves, even if you are no longer with the partner. The karmic pattern will continue until the lesson is learned, until the illusions are seen. Self-survival are based on the illusions you are attached to, for it is the illusions, the unresolved psychology, that cause you to then seek another similar partner, or someone in order for you to resolve the illusions. The push-pull dynamic is that reason, but you can't see the illusions unless you first resolve your birth trauma, and the partner is showing signs of a victim of his own childhood trauma. Here are the signs someone had experienced childhood trauma. 1. Persistent feelings of anxiety or depression. 2. Difficulty trusting others or forming close relationships. 3. Emotional numbness or detachment. 4. Fight, flight, freeze, fawn responses to stress or conflict. 5. Hypervigilance or feeling constantly on guard. 6. Difficult managing emotions or mood swings. 7. Self-doubt, shame, or feelings of worthlessness. 8. Feeling overwhelmed by everyday challenges. So, childhood trauma is a critical time for our emotional and psychological development. Unfortunately, for many, it's also a time when we encounter experiences that overwhelm our ability to cope. These traumatic events can leave deep, lasting imprints on our nervous system, leading to survival responses like fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. These patterns, while adaptive during childhood, can become maladaptive in adulthood, causing us to react to emotional triggers and perceive threats in ways that may no longer serve us. People who find themselves constantly on guard, easily overwhelmed, or struggling with emotional regulation, then childhood trauma, birth trauma may still influence their lives. Which is why the masters said in the past that it is an important first step to first heal the birth trauma. Because as long as the trauma is there, you will not be able to see the illusions that cause you to be pulled into this type of relationships, and hence unable to resolve the karma. In my experience, in order to resolve the karmic relationship with anyone you have karma with, you need to 1. Resolve the birth trauma, childhood trauma you have with yourself. Resolving trauma will release you from all the symptoms I listed above for someone who hasn't resolved their own birth trauma or childhood trauma. 2. See the relationship for what it is, and focus not on what others are doing to you, but rather what is it that you need to see based on what others are doing to you. This will become easier since you are not affected by the conditions of unresolved trauma. 3. Once you see the illusions for what it is, then you can decide to let it go. Only when you see the illusions for what they are will you then be able to let the selves die. Why? It's because you are no longer reacting to the illusions. Even if the selves are there and want to react, you can take full control of your conscious you and give no energy to those selves. And when you stop giving energy to the selves, because you no longer want to be part of the illusions, then the selves will surely die. 4. Once you learned your lesson, then your final service is to tell your partner who he needs to see also his unresolved psychology that you had resolved in yourself. Meaning, you need to call him a spade and make him aware that he needs to resolve the psychology and trauma that is causing his behavior and patterns. If your partner refused to resolve his psychology that you have already resolved, then you are absolved of karma between him and yourself. You can walk away from him karma-free, because you had told him the unresolved psychology that he needed to see. If he doesn't want to change, which they usually do, then that's his problem. he will create karma. Once you have resolved your psychology with him, and you learned your lessons, things outside yourself will immediately and dramatically change for the better. The effect is like night and day. It is that quick, and you will never ever see him and people like him again ever, because you have resolved the psychology that pulls people like him and conditions into your life.
So, it's interesting because this can apply to anything, right? Like, it's really, I just wanted to share, like, because I put this dilemma up into the Ascended Master group that I'm a part of, the Ascended Master students. And I know very well this has nothing to do with the other person. I've gotten to the point now in my process where I've like let go of that dynamic. It was really compulsive and I was like really fixated and attached to this person. And it's because I've done so much work to resolve the birth trauma and childhood trauma to the point where it's like I could check every one of those boxes off of like my symptoms. It has hot potatoed, like the person said, because I was reading from, I make my phone read out loud to me because it's easier to process information sometimes. And so I was just saying that it's hot potatoes because the psychology, that what is going on is inside of me, and I know that, like, I've gotten to the point where I'm like, and I'm grateful that it hot potatoes to other people because it's actually hot potatoing like in women friends, which I rather it do than in men, and especially men that I have any kind of sexual anything with. Like, I'm glad to do this work in the outside world where it's safer, to do it with my women friends. And so I noticed this certain psychology play out where I feel this reactionary pattern come on of masking, of feeling like emotionally uncomfortable and I'm masking, or I'm feeling defensive and masking, or feeling like something's out to get something from me, and and I mask, or I'm untruthful. I'm not trying to be deceitful. I would never consider myself a deceitful. I haven't considered myself a deceitful person, but when I think about all the ways in which I mask and tell the white lies in order to like try to not make someone feel uncomfortable, So, at the end when it was talking about how I just made a little keychain out of a little vulva, a rainbow making vulva. So at the end, I was like, whenever you've resolved the psychology, and then you can like share that and call a spade a spade. I've done that with my friends, or with my one friend recently today, where I was just like, hey, I'm noticing this pattern, and are you willing to change it? And they're like, yes, so that's good. But I think for me, like, the childhood trauma that I'm still resolving is like that I can't trust like people. Whatever trauma of experience, it's like causing that sense of still this distrust. Like I don't feel totally safe even with people that I trust and have showed to be like safe people, even if they're not perfect. And so, yeah, I'm not really sure what to do from there, because it's like I need to go into the birth trauma, but it's, all I know is that I watch my certain patterns, and I see, like, and then I have, like, memories that are regressed from my childhood of, like, man, I think my parents just, like, they were doing their best with what they had, but they just, like, put me in front of the TV. Like, I was just a TV baby. Like, they just put me in front of the TV. And, like, the ways that I've coped, like, not only do I, like, guard my heart physically, emotionally, mentally, but it's, like, the emotional eating and the checking of the phone, and like even in a way like coping through again the screen. And there's no judgment to any of this, but you know, I was raised with like reality TV shows and people like literally I was raised on reality TV shows and just thinking like this is normal, you know? And so it's like helpful, and I think it's a part of like my divine plan in certain ways, but I also wonder about like my intention. Like sometimes I wonder like, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to be like so self-focused because that can be a trap, you know, in the healing process, but because I really want to share from this abundant place rather than just like constantly like looping or ruminating. And I hope that that's like I'm in a process and I'm trying to release and free myself from the cages that I've put myself in to cope with trauma that I've dealt with, like tremendous amount of trauma that I've dealt with. And I think I've done a really good job so far getting to this point, because I think I was like really oscillating in and out of crisis. And I see like where like I'm pretty proud of myself actually. Like when you look at the statistics of people that have gone through like immense trauma or whatever, it's like some of them don't make it, and I'm making it. Like, you know. So this is so interesting. So I was thinking these could be little keychains. I got really inspired when I saw these these things because they're rainbow makers, and they make a lot of rainbows, and it's also the decade, according to the Ascended Masters, is the decade of women and the Divine Mother. And I just thought that was so interesting because I moved into this house in 2020, and I really like found myself here in this cocoon, and I've been really excited and curious to see what else is out there, what are all the possibilities, and to just keep moving forward, you know? And it's so cool, huh? So I was thinking that could be a little keychain. It might be too big to be a keychain, but I really like the color combination. It's like a mustard, like a pink, and a like a green. I just thought the colors were so nice. And I've been making these more elaborate ones that are like chains, like made from copper chain, because if you know me at all, I've worked with copper a lot in my life. And I was thinking, I was really inspired by the chakras, not the traditionally accepted chakras, but the chakras as the Ascended Masters have told us they are, from like this, from a balanced place, which is too much to go into right now, but basically the base chakra is actually white, clear, like clear crystal white. And when it's muddled up and unwell, it's red. And that's what a lot of the beings see. It's like the unclear state, you know? And then the solar seat of the soul chakra, which is the second chakra, that is violet. And then and then the solar plexus is purple, and then the heart is pink, and the throat is blue, and the third eye is green, and then the crown is gold. And it corresponds to the different rays. Like the first ray is the throat. The seventh ray is the seat of the soul chakra, the violet chakra, I think. Or purple. Is it purple or violet? I get them mixed up. So anyways, and the fourth ray is the root. And then, I don't know. Third ray is the heart. Fifth ray might be the here. Not sure. So anyways, I just really celebrate myself for how far I've come, like breaking these addictions and these patterns, and to know that it's not about, I had to make that, distinction and safely be able to let whatever unresolved stuff that I have manifest outside through my friendships, instead of, because I've resolved enough to not go into another karmic relationship, because I can see that shit from a mile away and I can feel it and I know what it feels like, and I don't want anything to do with that. And so I'd rather work it out through these two females in my life, and other beings too, but it doesn't involve sexuality, which makes things so much easier and simpler. So thanks for hearing me. Yeah, resolving the birth trauma, resolving childhood trauma. One step at a time. Bye.